course it is. Yes, of course.
Right. We're going through the papers with Scarlett Maguire and some other bloke. Falling out within the break. James Price. Good morning. They've been very, very sarcastic about various things that we can't tell you about.
Well, we could, but there might be a few Ofcom complaints.
Yes. Jay, we're going to start with this one, just because we're having a bit of a giggle, so the first one probably isn't appropriate. So we'll start with the Times, James. Keir Starmer says... It's fascinating, he gave evidence. He's no regrets about his first 5 months in office. I mean, come on.
Look, God give me the self-confidence of Sir Keir Starmer. After becoming the most unpopular Prime Minister, I think, ever in his first 5 months. He's done worse than Brown, worse than Liz Truss as well in terms of lack of popularity. He says he wouldn't change anything about it. I think the problem here is that if you were doing really deep structural changes, OK, they'd be really unpopular for a while, but they would bear fruit down the line, then fair enough. But he's doing really unpopular things that's going to make the country worse. And therefore, I think that his confidence in himself is perhaps misplaced.
Is there a single group of people that they haven't alienated yet?
Possibly the young. Possibly.
No, because, I mean, you know, education, tuition fees.
They've put up tuition fees by a tiny amount and they're going to review...
But they still said they wouldn't.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They really did not say they were not going to put up...
They did when they were campaigning to get elected?
No, Keir made an error in when he was campaigning to be Labour leader, but when being elected, there was no question that tuition fees were going to have to go up, and there is a review. I mean, what they have done, which I think is really important and we keep forgetting, is they put up the minimum wage, which for young people is a lot of... And it's particularly, you know, for people who are less skilled, who are going to go into the minimum wage, and it's good for the economy because... people on low incomes spend it.
There's a few other groups who's not upset as well. The Chinese Communist Party, very happy with the Mauritian government.
Yes, I am not
the private equity companies who are going to buy up all the farmland when the farmers go bust.
No. Absolute rubbish, and it's not. And it's going to affect very few farmers, and it might affect people like Jeremy Clarkson and Dyson, who only bought it up because they wanted to. It was a. I mean, we do know that some of the farming stuff are scam. I mean, they're bought up by people to avoid inheritance tax.
It's very easy then. They're not going to farm the land, are they? Because it's an awful lot of work for not a lot of pay. So why just not introduce the inheritance tax on people who buy the land and don't farm it?
Look, I think that things could have been done better, OK? I think...
Yes.
You can't defend the indefensible.
I'm not defending the indefensible. I'm saying things could have been done better. I think that... things could have been introduced differently. I think that the winter fuel payment, that there were a lot of people, an awful lot of pensioners who didn't need that money, and I think it should have been something like taxed, so that people on a very low income got the whole thing, and people on high income got very little.
Well, meanwhile, Scott, the Times is saying that councils can seize land more easily, compulsory purchase orders, and pay people less for it. I mean, hey, it's even more worse news for the farmers, isn't it? The land they can't pass on, it could be seized from them now.
No, I think
to build on.
But what we do know is there's an awful lot of developers who buy land and don't do anything with it, right? And actually, we need houses on that land. So, I mean, I think that James, although he's not nodding, would agree with me that we do have to sort out this red tape that is stopping building.
So I think that land banking, as you talk about, is not the problem here. I do think there is a problem with the planning system in general, that people are able to complain about things when we desperately need more houses to be built. Even if we weren't having net 800,000 new immigrants coming in every year, we still need more houses to be built because there's still a problem and housing is too expensive. Great to have more infrastructure. Look at something like the Elizabeth line in London. It took forever. It now accounts for like 1 in every 4 or 5 journeys and is an amazing bit of British technology.
And it's wonderful, can I say?
We'd have more of that. We'd have more energy infrastructure. Then our bills would be cheaper. That's all great. The problem that you're going to have is that unless you do this really sensibly, then you're going to build ugly houses and people are going to be upset with that. If you built beautiful houses, if every new city built looked like the city of Bath, no one would complain. And in the process, because it is busy and difficult and messy to build things, we should compensate people for it. So if you live in France near a nuclear power station, you get free power. Right? And someone will go, that's a bribe. Like, OK, fine, it's a bribe. But it means that the French pay a lot less for energy than we do, and everyone's bills at home would be cheaper.
And the problem is we don't have enough builders to build these houses in any case.
I know, and we need to skill people up, and of course. But I mean, the other thing that houses is they need to be built so that they're properly insulated and they have solar panels, and all of that would bring it down. And what was the first thing the Conservatives did when they got in 2010? They stopped the green. I think I'm not allowed to say the word, but am I?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know what you were going to say.
CRAP.
No, best not.
No, probably best.
Probably best. Anyway, and immediately we went back to building houses. And I have to say, the Daily Mail, at least once a week, has a story about a new build thing that are built badly, that people have spent a lot of money, they've bought this house and it's got 50 defects and nobody's fixing it. And actually we need good houses. You're absolutely right. We need good houses built. We need lots we need wind farms on the land and off the land. And this should have been happening for the last 10 years, and it needs to happen now. Right. And it's not going to be popular, right? But actually, that is the infrastructure that we need.
All right, let's have a look at, away from all this, baby boomers, because obviously very good news for Dawn.
Only by 11 days.
Because 60
days.
Well, 70 is a new 60, which means 60 is a new 50.
50, which means you're still a fetus then, doesn't it?
It means I'm 40.
To quote Leonard Cohen,
not
you're
your
almost
IQ,
young.
your age.
Hey, what?
Not your IQ, your age we're talking about.
But this is great news. This is the story that because of advances in modern medical technology and the fact that fewer people are having to do horrible back-breaking labour, as we've done through most of human existence, toiling away on the land and dying really young, people get to live a lot longer. The problem with that, of course, is, therefore, you can't retire so early and expect for the state to pay for you. And that's the message, obviously, to this WASPI women stuff we've heard about before. It used to be the retirement age was set at, 65, when the life expectancy was 67. So the idea was, look, you've worked hard all your life, here's 2 years of the state looking after you before you pop your clogs. Now people are retiring and living decades, and we can't afford that because we're not a rich country anymore.
And I completely agree that the WASPI women, actually... They were told in 1995 that it was going to change, and then what most women did is exactly like the men did, is they went on working until they were 66, and they might not like it, and they might and they might enjoy it. Who knows? But of course they shouldn't be given £10 billion, and that was the right decision by the government, right? That it was, and it's great that we can. I remember
how you've changed, the pair of you turned what was a nice little story into this political debate.
God,
it was just like, isn't it nice that we're all living longer?
We may not live longer, it'll feel like we're living a lot longer.
I think it's great, because I remember when men retired at 65 and the house opposite my parents, you'd have all these people retiring to Dorset. The men would be dead in 3 years. I mean, it was incredible. But also, it was like retirement was too much, that they didn't have anything to do. And that's why, when we were talking about which hasn't happened, a decade of retirement, so people gradually retire, they work part-time and everything, and you don't suddenly wake up in the morning and you haven't got a job and you don't know what to do. So... But I think that the other thing about baby boomers is their health is better, but they're just more dynamic. I mean, the problem with baby boomers is that we won't let the young in.
By 20 days. Only by 20 days.
Oh, right.
By 20 days. I was born at the end of 1964, which makes me a baby boomer. Anyway, all this is driving you to drink.
Driving me to drink, I'll tell you.
I'm going to stay with you very quickly. Daily Mirror. Booze.
Booze is...
You have read the story, haven't you, Scarlett?
No, she says. Are you going to have a dry January,
Absolutely
James?
not. Definitely not after this morning. But this is the idea that many more people are going to be giving up booze in January, which seems the worst month to do it. You've not got Christmas to look forward to anymore. The nights are still drawing in. It's miserable. Let's all go down to the pub, help the pub industry.
It's because they've overdone it. That's the idea. They've overdone it.
That's people out of practice.
It's the most miserable month of the year.
I think, but also it's really awful. You have these people round to dinner and they don't drink. And they just go on and on about how good they are not drinking. And actually, I have said to various friends of mine, I'll see you in February.
Dean Martin said, I don't trust people who don't drink. When they wake up in the morning, that's the best they're going to feel all day.
That's a very good line. I say that as someone who doesn't drink.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fair point. Good to see you both this morning. Thanks very much indeed.